So we have to talk about what's going on in both Portland and Chicago. This is Portland right here. This is my hometown. And I think this is at the ICE facility in Portland. There's a helicopters floating overhead. And there's also apparently, I think that it would be a veteran. It looks like he's wearing a veteran hat. He's wearing using a walker, so he must be old. I also see several of these ICE agents. They're telling people to go back. They're throwing gas at people. I think one person even starts shooting. You can see it with his gun there. The pal, he holds it up, and you can see it. I see this stuff, and I'm just telling my feelings. I'm horrified. I'm speechless. It's just, I just didn't think we would see this kind of thing. I mean, Trump wants us to fight each other. That's what it ends up being. He wants us all to fight each other. That's in Portland. We also have the situation in Chicago where ICE did shoot someone today. We just talked about in the prior video. This was the headline: Federal agents shoot woman on Southwest side, battle protesters for hours. I'll give you a little bit more data on that, but you also have to see that this is still going on, so it's not over. This is the streets of Chicago right now. We'll watch a little bit together.
Shutting down a major thoroughfare. A thoroughfare where emergency services cannot provide assistance to citizens in potentially in need. This is an unlawful assembly. If you remain here, you're subject to arrest. We will arrest you. You are free to leave, but you are not free to stay. You're welcome to go back to the designated protest area or disperse on your own. But you are being advised, the Illinois State Police, we will arrest you for an unlawful assembly.
You're not. Listen, you know what you're doing is wrong. You're saying you're keeping us safe. You are keeping ICE safe. Because if you were, you would actually remove that fence so that police officers and so that firefighters could go through Beach Street. But you haven't taken down the fence.
And so right now it's just chaos in Chicago. So what it looks like to me that there was the original incident where ICE shot someone, protesters showed up, ICE then tries to move people out. I think the Chicago police originally didn't assist ICE, and now it looks like they are in terms of separating protesters and ICE. There seems to be, like as you said, there's a designated area. Then they're trying to close down certain areas. It is. I'll just be frank with you guys. It's really hard to understand what's going on. This is all happening at night. Also, it's chaos everywhere. I'll show you a little bit more.
Unlawful assembly. You are being warned right now. If you do not disperse and get off the streets, you will be subject to arrest. Unlawful assembly. You are blocking a thoroughfare. Get off the road, or I will arrest you all. Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back!
And you can see how it just quickly descends into chaos. Okay, so my understanding is that Trump wants to call the National Guard into Illinois. The governor of Illinois is objecting to that. The situation with Oregon, Trump wanted to call in the National Guard, but I guess the judge blocked that. So from my understanding, just to be clear, I think the judge is blocking National Guard going into Oregon, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Trump won't try to do it anyway, right? Because you have the legal fights. And then the situation in Illinois, I think Trump just ordered it, and I don't know if there's any, judge ruling on that or not. But the point being is that Trump wants everything into chaos. Then he can declare martial law, which basically means, hey, military, rules everything, and therefore, for your freedoms are suspended. I think that's what Trump's going for. Listen to what Americans in Chicago are saying.
We see it on the news, we see it on our phones, but to see it live is just shocking that this is America. This is the country that we love, that we work for, that we protect.
ICE is terrorizing our community. People are scared to go out. Kids are afraid to go to school. We should not be living like this.
Now, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posted on social media saying more federal agents are on the way, and that comes as Governor Pritzker says the Trump administration is trying to mobilize 300 members of the Illinois National Guard here.
All right, so they're talking about they want to send 300 people of National Guard. This whole thing is just awful. I'll just be frank, it's just awful. And when I go through this stuff, essentially, if you're right-leaning, far right, you're like cheering on the violence. Like I can see it in all of their counts. They from their point of view, just like, oh yeah, arrest everyone. If you're on the left side, you're like, what is this Gestapo, secret police, Nazi people that are Trump is sending out on us, right? So It's just basically causing a fight. That's essentially what it boils down to. And the ICE people appear to be, there's some that I think are more like your full-timers. Other ones seem to be untrained, amateurish. I mean, you can see it the way that they detain people. They go to violence before trying to soothe things down. When you listen to the description of the ICE and the shooting thing, you'll see those inconsistencies. So I just want you to listen to what the news is reporting on it. I talked about it last week. Let's watch some more.
ICE agents shoot and injure a woman in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood. The Department of Homeland Security says the woman was one of several people using their vehicles to box in agents. According to ICE, the woman also had a semi-automatic gun and tried to run over the agents. The shooting happened on South Kedzie. No ICE agents were injured. This is just one of the developments today. Governor Pritzker saying the Trump administration issued an ultimatum saying, quote, call up your troops or we will.
Okay, so this is where when I just heard it, and I've read other descriptions of it. I don't think anyone has said that the woman is shot at ICE. At least that's from everything that I've seen so far. In this description, they say, well, she tried to run him over, but then they also say that the 10 cars tried to box ICE in. So I don't. It's not consistent to stuff that they're saying because it doesn't really make sense. As we talked about this before, like is ICE trying to say there's a pack of 10 people that are trying to attack them? And like I said, I don't think the woman. It sounds like ICE is shot. That's how it sounds to me. Let's listen to more of this, and I want to hear your guys' opinion on this one also.
Erupting from those protesters who had been out here for hours following this incident here this morning. Now, as far as that incident goes, DHS tells us that their Border Patrol agents were patrolling this area here in Brighton Park when suddenly they say that they were boxed in by about 10 vehicles. At one time, they tried to get out of their vehicles, and that's when they say they felt like they were going to get run over by the protesters, and that's when DHS agents allegedly fired off their weapons, hitting one woman who we now have learned has been taken to a nearby hospital, and she is in stable condition.
See, and they describe it a little bit differently, like they were in like the Chicago neighborhood and they're saying there's too many cars and they just start shooting at people. That's like what it sounds like to me. So I haven't heard anywhere where it says the woman had fired on them, and then they'll start to say that she had a gun. And I mean, the other problem with this stuff is like any of these sorts of situations, you want there to be, body cams, investigation, this kind of things. And then you got the ICE people who are running around in masks. So you don't even know who these people are. The whole thing is awful. I just want to make that really clear. I don't want any violence anywhere in the USA. I think it's a fair thing to say. But as I mentioned before, there's already people on the, they'll call it the Kristi Noem kind of people, and their influencer people are like cheering on the violence. I'm just telling you guys, this whole thing is awful. Trump just wants us to fight each other. Listen to a bit more description of these things.
Here, there was some tear gas that we saw deployed here at multiple points today, as well as pepper bullets to try and control that crowd. We saw Chicago police as well here on scene. They say they were here just to protect the people in this area while federal authorities handled this entire investigation.
Right, so the police seem to be a different thing than what they are now. So I think that's changed from just the afternoon to the evening. Let me read some more local descriptions, what they say. It says, it doesn't seem like things are calming down. This is like a local person. We've seen immense anger from neighbors feeling like federal agents are provoking and wanting to incite violence on people who just care about keeping people safe. And that's coming from, it says, Ramirez said a man who was driving one of the vehicles involved in the accident was detained. She said he is a U.S. citizen, but could not confirm his name or age. Quote, ultimately, this community stands with all of our neighbors, especially our immigrant neighbors. Here's someone else. This is a person says, Trayvon House, age 20, came out to protest near the Kenzie Avenue and Persian Road. Quote, we're Americans. Why can't we live in peace? Last time I checked, we had freedom of speech. That was one of our amendments, right? Ruiz said agents also rammed a vehicle into her son's truck earlier and taken him into custody, right? So ICE agents rammed a vehicle, at least what they say. Her 21-year-old son, who said she is a U.S. citizen, was being held inside an ICE vehicle nearby, so they took her kid. Why would they take him? He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. My son has nothing to do with that. they need to let him go. And this is a recurrent theme that I keep seeing with any of the ICE people. Shoot first, ask questions later, that kind of thing. Just arrest everyone, no warrants, no due process. And again, they're all wearing masks. So I just wanted to be clear of like the things that we know is happening. And then this was the talk in Oregon. So it says judge temporarily blocks Trump from deploying troops in Portland. And this is my home city. A federal judge on Saturday blocked Trump administration from deploying troops in Portland, at least temporarily. So you just don't know how this is going to play out, thwarting President Donald Trump's push to send military into Oregon's biggest city. Oregon demonstrated that such an action would violate the state's 10th Amendment right to control its National Guard. So I think what you're going to have here is each state is going to have, different state constitutions, and they'll make the case like you can't take control of our National Guard. So I can't speak for all 50 states of what they're going to make the case, but at least the judge here, and this is a Trump appointee, I guess. This is the quote. It says, "This country has a long-standing and foundational tradition of resistance to government overreach, especially in the form of military intrusion into civil affairs. This historical tradition boils down to a simple proposition. This is a nation of constitutional law, not martial law." So the judge is like literally pushing back against Trump, saying, you can't just declare martial law. I've told you guys this before several times. I'll just mention it again. There's a Korean movie called 1987. I highly recommend it. We had a similar situation here in Korea just last year. And then the 1987 is part of Korean history of why people took to the streets and peacefully protested the martial law that the former President Yoon tried to do. And essentially also the soldiers, and this could be in the situation of, say, the National Guard, will either slow walk whatever order Trump gives or just don't follow it. Essentially what it is. But it basically ends up being slow walking. So, for example, in the Korean situation, when something didn't smell right about the president's orders, some of the leaders, they just like took their troops to go get ramen. And they're like, oh, we got to make a pit stop and go get ramen. And I mentioned the ramen situation because it's like, they knew something was off about it, right? And I promise you, there's going to be people in the National Guard that want to do the right thing. They get called in and just like, I don't want to go arrest my neighbors. Like, what is that all about? I mean, Trump's just trying to kind of start a fight. Also, just the reality. Some of these ICE people, I don't know where they come from, but it looks like they're I don't know if their orders are to like literally go start or, my wife keeps saying, because I've read reports of this, that they're probably just, doing it for the money. And if there's a quota, like, oh, you have to arrest 1,000 people a day, because that's what they've been talking about. Well, or 3,000 or whatever the stupid quota is going to be. They're just going to go out and just arrest as many people as possible, regardless of if there's any, right reason to do it or not. I mean, that's just the thing that Trump's trying to do, is just causing all this chaos. And this is when the government is shut down, which is the other crazy thing. And so Trump's trying to fire as many watchdogs and investigations on him as possible. If you listen to the governor of Illinois, I'll just read a little bit. He says, "This morning, the Trump administration's Department of War gave me an ultimatum: call up your troops or we will. It is absolutely outrageous and un-American to demand a governor send military troops within our own borders and against our will." So that's my thoughts on this stuff. Please be safe out there. I'll keep you guys updated if there's anything latest, but I'll just tell you the truth and stuff. It's really hard to track all these things because there's just so much chaos all over the country at the moment. And, frankly, again, Donald Trump just wants us to fight each other. So don't take the bait. Remember, these are your fellow Americans, and just be safe out there. I'll catch you all in the next video.